Welcome to Men, Sex, and Tantra.
Discover what your parents, porn, and religion never taught you about being a man and having extraordinary sex. Get ready to have your mind blown and your world rocked. Hello, everybody. Men, Sex, and Tantra. The other day, somebody said to me, Tanya, I love your little graphic for the sex part. Like, how did that happen? And that was me. Yeah, I was just like, hey, how do we make this like real? You know, so there's that whole finger in the whatever thing.
Oh,
so
good.
I thought that was great that it had that. So I rolled with that. And so I'm still hanging with Ian. And today, one of the things that we're exploring is this idea of being over capacity and what happens when you're over capacity in the bedroom when arousal is added to your already over capacity body, and how that can create disassociation. And what does all of this even mean? Take it away, Ian.
Yes, such a potent topic, and there's been a lot of different teachings that I've gotten from different places that have really culminated in this exploration for myself. And once again, bringing it to my self practice of being with energetic alchemy, like playing with energy. So it started there. And then I started to realize like how stimulating sexuality is, like, especially for men. I make up this story that it's equal to surviving because we can still reproduce and die. You know, like we could still have a baby in the womb while we're no longer here, and we can continue on. So it's like for men, sexuality is so stimulating. It's like it's right next to survival. And so being on, following this trail, like we talked about last episode, of the eyes really needing to be turned on, needing to see these certain images to be turned on, to be aroused. I started to pay attention to how much energy was going on inside of my mind, inside of my body when sexuality would come into my life. And working with men, really being focused on masculine energy, and obviously this is a large generalization of like how energy works in men, like how men interact in the world. Seeing this common thread of men being energetically over capacity, doing all the time. We don't have a womb. We don't have a monthly cycle that connects us to our body. And so we're just like, we have this kind of easy push in society today to be in our heads.
Yeah.
And just live really heady. And achievement, go.
Yeah. Action.
100 hours a week, action.
Work out hard at the gym, really hard at the gym. Have that 6-pack ab.
Yeah, workout, business, then you got to play and look good on social media. And so it's like all this energetic pressure to do, living in the mind, constantly living in the future. All of this is energy like coming into the body, all this doing that's happening. And so here's this man, he's doing all these things. He has all this energy. He's at capacity, not even aware of it, like how much he's holding at one time. And then he goes to be intimate. There's no space for that level of stimulation. There's already so much energy bouncing around in the body, whether we're going to name it anxiety or anxiousness or stress or overwhelm, whatever term we're going to use for that, all that excess energy. Then I'm going to go try to be intimate with a partner, which is so stimulating to my eyes, to my mind. And maybe I have a history of not being good in the bedroom. Maybe I have trauma around sexual experiences. So now my survival mechanisms are being triggered and my insecurities, and I'm trying to do and perform here.
Performance, yeah.
And feel seen and good enough for my performance there. It's just so much energy in the body. And what I wanted to talk about today is just like how that leads us as men. It's like we have no other option than to disassociate or
Ejaculate.
or you ejaculate, or it's like, it just doesn't set us up for success. And without awareness, this is going to appear like something's wrong with us, and it's just going to stack.
Right.
It's just going to get worse. Every time we have an experience like that, that's more charged when we go in to be intimate on top of our already fully charged system. It's just like stacking.
Yeah. Overload. 100%. Yeah. And I love how you're framing that. I mean, all beings right now are overdone, overstimulated, overdone, 100%. All our energy is way up high in our heads and stuff like that. And then men do have, I think the other added pressure that we don't talk about is that men somehow are supposed to give women an orgasm. Now, it's kind of interesting because I teach that women fall into pleasure. People don't give them orgasm, but typically we're taught and women expect that you men give us orgasm. And my God, I just want to say that having seen a woman's genitals that aren't mine up close, and thinking when I was doing sexual healing work that men have to figure out this landscape and what to do with it, I just want to say, I bow down to men that you're even willing to take that on. Because like, what the fuck? I wasn't even this woman's lover and I was intimidated. I just want to say, I'm intimidated by the vagina and the vulva and all those pieces that you don't know.
That's amazing.
I just want to lay it out there for men that I have the utmost regard and respect, and for any man that's courageous enough to head there. So anyway, that's a pressure that nobody ever talks about probably either.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you going to find all the bits, and all the bits are different, and everybody's different, and everyone wants something different. And oh my God. Anyway, so tons of fucking expectation, which is what I think that energy, that expectation energy that's already overblown. And then what you're saying is, if a man's already coming to the bedroom and he's already full up on that, see, I'm woman-splaining this to the men now. So already filled up, that basically that overstimulation from sex can lead to having an ejaculation right away, because anxiety and ejaculation go in hand. Like quick ejaculation goes in hand with anxiety. 100%. Or that, so I'm leading this to that disassociation word. So what does that even look like? So here you are in the bedroom and all of a sudden you're overdone.
Yeah. So I think, this statement is so normal that it's going to might be hard to, like, for a lot of men to wrap their mind around, because it's like, that's like saying, trying to explain oxygen, that it's just like this thing that just exists and I don't pay attention to. It's like, it's just there. So for me, when I think of disassociation, we talked about pre-cum, coming early. And I also think this leads to men losing their erection as well.
Yeah.
And what I see it is a compounding problem of being less and less in our bodies.
Yeah.
That we're not, that a lot of us aren't really present in our bodies. We have this anxious, frantic energy. And I think, it's in a heterosexual dynamic with a man and a woman, like the man, it's actually really important for him to be grounded and in his body. That's actually gonna send the messages of safety, of like trust, of being held, that lead to the opening that you're talking about, of the woman opening to her orgasm, to her opening to her pleasure. But if her nervous system, if her body is feeling this franticness in a man, and that's like bouncing around, all this energy, it's like, that's not the ingredients for her opening.
Right. Was it for either one?
Yeah.
For either one, really, right? Yeah.
And I guess in the disassociation, it's not being present to the moment. It's being somewhere else. It's like not being present to like the subtlest little touch or the subtlest kiss on the ear or what back rub or whatever. It's being in the mind that's like, oh, I wonder if I'm doing this right. Oh, what should I do next? Oh my gosh, I hope she doesn't see this.
Yeah, well, my erection just flailed a little bit. Oh my God. And now it's all like, oh, what if she noticed that? Then she might think she's not attractive, or I'm not a good enough lover, or my God, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, exactly. I've always thought about doing this play where I do what's really happening inside people's heads during sex, the woman and because it's like, nobody's really there. The bodies are there, but the bodies aren't connected to anything. Right. So what I hear with that is that disassociation can actually look like the whole point of losing the erection or coming too soon or not being delayed ejaculation, which is another disassociation, pounding away with nothing happening. And all of those. And that disassociation is the energy in the head and what I call a toxic relationship between your mind and your body. Yeah. So like your head's saying one thing, your body's trying to do something else, but you're not paying attention to it at all. So it's like the simplest thing would be like this. You have to pee, but you're so preoccupied with all the other things you want or need to do that you don't pay attention until your body is literally screaming at you about this one thing. And when you do that, believe it or not, you ruin the trust between your mind and your body.
Totally.
And so you're not listening, you're not hearing, you're not connecting. And you might be saying, I'm a man. Of course I'm connecting. I have an erection. So I must be in my body. No, believe it or not, you can be totally not present and still have an erection. So that's it. So you said, you started this by saying this might be such a concept that's, seems so difficult to even like grasp because it's so normal. Yeah. It's like the thing. Right. That's how most people, even women, have sex, is kind of that disassociated experience.
Yeah. And I think it's so pervasive today. And the part about it that's so important is when we have these intimate experiences and we're not present, we're not in our bodies, we're in our thoughts, thinking about, all these different things as we're doing them instead of just being there for them. We don't get fed. We don't get nourished. We don't get the rewards of such a beautiful occasion that is intimacy. We're not there to fully soak in every single little touch and smell and, hand here and whatever. We're not present for it to really have our cup be filled in that way. And I really just see this, once again, like this cycle that kind of spins out more and more is like, what's the point anymore?
Right.
What's the point anymore when it's just like no one's connected to their body? It's this frantic, stressed out, anxious energy in the bedroom. It's probably just tickling at trauma and survival mechanisms most of the time. Like, that doesn't sound appealing to me either. Right.
Right. And how many men I've heard tell me that actually sex is boring. They don't want to say that ever to any other man. Right. But they'll tell me that, like, why is sex boring? And it's like, well, because if you're approaching it that way, if you're performance-based, I have to give her hers and then I have mine and then we're done, button pushing sex. If you're, thinking about all the things you're doing, then sex is more exhausting than fulfilling. It's too much work. How many women would say they just rather watch TV. There was some study done where most people would rather watch a good TV show than have sex with their partner that they were attracted to. Oh. That's like, and that was across the board, men and women.
Oh, that kills me.
Right. And it probably kills all of us to contemplate it. But how many of us have been there? I mean, I'm celibate right now because quite frankly, most sex, if people can't show up, is boring.
Yeah.
The act of just, I can like take a breath and have an orgasm. I don't need somebody else to do an orgasm. You too can learn that, by the way. So yeah, so then there's all that, oh, I have to take a shower and I have to do all, and it just seems like such a not worth it.
Yeah.
If it's just orgasm based and everybody's anxious in their head performing
Totally.
versus that really showing up to connect. So, so given that, let's see. So what are some of the men thinking right now? Okay, why? And this will go into another one of the episodes. You could be thinking as a man, well, it's much more pleasurable to masturbate in somebody than it is to do it by yourself. But I can tell you right now that women know that and sense that.
Yes.
So one of the complaints I get from women in this regard of you being disassociated in sex is that women who are more easily, let's say naturally, women who are more naturally inclined, women are more naturally inclined to feel that energetic interplay, right? Just because we were created to be moms and this gives us a little bit more natural inclination into that realm, that disassociation, that disconnect, that thing that's going on there leaves us sexually dissatisfied, even if we had an orgasm.
Totally.
Orgasm is not, when I ask women to list what makes them sexually satisfied, orgasm does not show up at the top.
Wow.
So what they're actually looking for is that connection, is that you in your body, she in her body, both people in their bodies having an experience that's more full. I loved the word nourished.
Yeah.
I love that you used that word. That's exactly how sex should not actually feel like you just drained yourself.
Yeah.
For men or women, it should really feel like you just filled up.
100%. And I think, when I say that's sad in regards to that survey is because that's what's happening.
Right.
Is that, intimacy, and the further I get into it, whether I watch it in nature, whether it like any aspect of the natural world and creation, it's like, it's pure magic. It's absolutely amazing. And the fact that we are where a lot of us are in the societies today, it's like, there's so much potential and it's awakening. It's why podcasts like this exist. It's why there's so much exploration in this direction, because there's so much potential to our intimacy, and for us to be nourished by it every single time and never be in an anxious state, and it like be on our path to healing and be in our connection to source and all these different ways of just being fulfilled and overflowing from this beautiful dance.
Right. So the difference between overflowing and nourishment versus overwhelm, because both of them have an overflow and overwhelm. Like, what's the difference between there is where you are grounded in your body, whether you're in your head or you're in your ass. And there I am talking about men's asses again. It's one of my favorite topics. But anyway, so it's like that nourished feeling leaves you, what nourished feels like, and really quite, we can use words, but if people don't really understand them, then they're just words, right?
Yeah.
So overwhelmed, everybody can kind of understand what overwhelmed means, that if one more thing happens today, you're going to freak the fuck out. Okay. So you could be irritated, frustrated, angry. That's a lot of men show up that. You just want to chuck it in. You're going to grow that fucking mustache and buy that Camaro or that Corvette. You are just done. You're going to date that 18-year-old and you're 60 because you're just done. Okay. Those are symptoms of overwhelm. What nourished means, overflowing means that it's relaxing, it's chill. It's just the sense of well-being deep inside your body, where your head isn't moving a million miles an hour, where you're not just looping. Looping is a great sign of overwhelm. When you just think about that conversation over and over again, or you think about that thing you should have done over and over again, it's just looping. That is a sign of super high nervous system dysregulation and anxiety and overwhelm. And so Nourish feels delicious. Nourish feels like you're in a hot tub, if that's your gig, or laying on a hot beach in the sand with nothing to do. For me, sailing, being in my sailboat, cruising on the water.
And how it feels in my system too is like having the experience and feeling like I received something instead of feeling like something was taken away from me.
Yeah.
Like, instead of being depleted, like I have more in me. That's just how it feels in my system.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's to me laying on the beach with the hot sun or sailing on the water. All those things to me feel more. They feel expansive. They feel sensual. They feel nourished. They feel like I'm receiving.
Yeah.
Right? Receiving the sun, receiving the wind, receiving that all feels like it's enhancing versus taking. And I like that. The feel like you've received instead of been taken from. Yeah. So food for thought.
That reminds me that I want to that there's an episode I actually want to do on this topic. So let's
now he's all fired up.
Plug it in later.
Now he's all fired up. What do we do next? So okay, so takeaway. Let's how do we start this journey to connection?
Yeah, I mean, this is across the board, but I would say what's an easy, I want to think of something easy is, I like taking it to self-practice because it doesn't depend on another to try.
Absolutely.
And really what I encourage is like before self-practice is to sit quietly with nothing to do for like 5 minutes, 2 minutes. If you're really wound up tight, try 2 minutes.
Like 2 minutes is good for most people.
Yeah, sit there and let your energy come down. Don't go into the act fully brimmed at capacity. And stimulation is how we experience everything in life. It's the energy coming into our eyes, our ears, our mouth, our nose, our skin. So like when we're living our life, we are being constantly stimulated. So to sit there and let the energy come down before I go into intimacy, I have more capacity to be with that sensual stimulation. So it's like letting the energy come down a little bit before I let myself step into that intimacy. That's what I got.
Wow, I like it. Most people would say, well, why don't I just get stoned or take a Quaalude or whatever? People not doing Quaaludes these days. But a lot of people do that. But that also, even though you may feel enhanced, it creates an energetic disconnect with your partner. I'm going to tell you that right now, people. So yeah, I'm all about the self-practice too, because that's where even when I work with couples, I work one-on-one with each of them and then together, one-on-one with each, and then together. That's how I roll couples work. So I would say I love yours. Absolutely. That's, and then I would add to that one of the things that I like men to do is either in the morning or before you go to bed at night is to actually take your hands and lay down in the bed. You can be, and naked is best, but you can have clothes on if you need to, and put one hand on your genitals, like your right hand on your genitals and your left hand on your heart. And just set an alarm for 3 minutes. And I just want you to be there, right? Right hand on your genitals, left hand on your heart, prop up pillows under wherever you need to prop them up so that you're relaxed and comfy. Set the timer, get in place, and just be there. Be bored, be uncomfortable, be whatever it is you're being. Do not try to guide yourself anywhere. Do not try to journey anywhere. Don't try to make it special. Literally just do that. And what's happening right then is you are literally starting the communication between your energetic system, your mind, your subconscious mind, and your nervous system. And it works, except if you're a sociopath. So sorry for sociopaths, but this works on everybody except sociopaths. It's not if it works or should it work. It works 100% of the time. It's called a static hold. Just do that. And you don't have to do it longer, but if you did it every single day for 3 minutes, things would start changing in your body and your nervous system. You don't have to think about it, just do it and let it, whatever happens. It's called be present. So, and it can sound like incredibly whatever. Most people are bored out of their minds, and that's okay. It's still working. So that's what I want to leave them with.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So, okay, guys, we will see you on the next episode. Still with Ian. See y'all later.
Ciao.
Bye.